You need to have a plan for how and when you're going to have children long before you meet a guy. And no one will ever tell you this. My name is Malaika Neri. I've been helping high achieving Indian women find the right guy for marriage and family for the past 7 years. I've helped over 500 women. Plus, I've also helped men in the past. I don't work with men anymore. And in this video, we're going to build you a family plan, even if you haven't met the right guy yet and you don't know where to start. Let us dive right in. Ladies, let me say this because it seems that everyone forgets constantly. We women have about 30 years to have a kid. Not 25, not 50, just 30 years. From sometime between the ages of 10 to 15, when most of us start menstruating, to sometime between the ages of 45 and 50, when most of us stop menstruating. Outside of this time period, it is virtually impossible to give birth from your own body. But that doesn't mean you cannot build a family in an alternative way. And though it's not talked about enough in the media and on social media as well, these days, high achieving women do not start families from their own bodies. This is a myth that belongs, forget our mothers, it belongs to our grandmothers' time, at a time when birth control did not exist. My grandmothers had multiple children, each with no birth control, no hormones, no IVF, just a man and a woman getting it on, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the kids just kept coming. But guess what? My grandmothers did not work. They did not have jobs after marriage. They did not have stress. They did not have responsibilities for providing for the family. The husband brought home the money, he put it on the table, and he said, honey, here. And that was it. They made do with the money that they had. There were no fancy holidays. The holidays were send the children to the grandparents' house at best, or let them play in the garden. And so their lives were completely different from the lives of us high achieving Indian women today. We have careers, we have MBAs, we have what's it called, like chartered accountancy exams. We have law degrees, we have insane cortisol, we have taxes. Very often we're filing taxes in multiple countries. We have fertility timelines, we have egg freezing available. And so the situation looks, it's like night and day. There is no comparison. But I would say 99.9% of my students live in fantasy and avoidance land. They still believe it'll just happen when it happens, even though you have women like Priyanka Chopra Jonas who are telling mainstream media that she had her only child through a surrogate. So in today's video, we're going to walk through how you will make your family plan before you even meet a guy, before you even think about going on a dating app. You are going to sit down tonight and make your family plan, even if it's terrifying, and you are going to look your own fertility in the eye, because it is going to save you so much pain and heartache in the future. The first thing I want you to do is go to the link at the front of my page, or comment prompt below, and I'll send it to you. I'm going to send you the link to my AI prompt that will read your birth chart based on traditional Hindu astrology, and it will tell you how many kids you're destined to have. Now, it doesn't mean that you're limited to this number of kids, or you're absolutely guaranteed that, like, God is going to bring this number of biological children into your life. No, nobody can guarantee that, least of all me. But it tells you what your fertility is going to be like and how many children you're actually destined for, whether that's 1 or 3 or 5. Once you've done that, you will have an idea of when you're going to have kids and how many kids you're going to have. So the prompt will literally tell you, based on your unique birth chart, how many kids you're going to have. So let us do this example based on you having 2 children. This is what most of my students want, 2, sometimes 3. So when I've worked with women one-on-one in the past, most women want kids. A lot of women tell me, I don't want kids, but I can tell you, most women, after they've met the right guy, they change their mind and they say, I want kids. Because wanting to have kids is a function of feeling safe. And safety and security come from a partner who makes you feel safe because A, he has financial security, he can provide from you when you cannot work because you are busy giving birth and like looking after an infant. And 2, he makes you feel physically safe. He can like physically help you with the infant and looking after and raising a child, which is more than a full-time job. So we want to make a plan for how to choose the kind of person who is going to be able to do that, but more importantly, how to prepare your mind and body for the kind of family you want to have. So if you want to have 2 kids, you start from the age that you are today. So for most of us, it's absolutely terrifying to look our fertility in the face and say, okay, today I'm 25, or I'm 30, or I'm 35, or I'm 45, and I want X number of children. Many of my students tell me, yes, I've frozen my eggs, Malaika, that's fine. But egg freezing isn't a family plan. You need a plan for how to convert those eggs into babies. And it's not one-to-one. It's not like 1 egg leads to 1 kid. It's like 20 eggs might lead to 1 kid. Might. So your goal, no matter what age you are, I strongly recommend that you freeze your eggs, whether you're 25 or you're 30 or you're 45. Just because in the short term, it's hormones in your body, it's a financial investment, it is pain, it's bloating, fatigue, and mood swings. But in the long term, it creates insurance. Now, you can freeze anywhere between, you can do anywhere between 1 round and 2 rounds. Many clinics will say, okay, we'll try and freeze up to 12 eggs, which can be enough for 1 baby. Your body might produce more eggs, it might produce fewer eggs. Like, we really don't know. This is a conversation you should have with the clinic that you choose to work with, and that will depend on the city where you live, the budget, obviously, what is covered by insurance, what is not. Prices vary completely depending on where you live. So to give you some examples, egg freezing can start from around $1,000 in India, in like a mid to large Indian city, all the way up to $15,000 to $20,000 in a mid to large American city. So one of the top places in the United States is Cornell Weill Medical Center and the NYU Langone Medical Center, both of which are in New York City, and egg freezing and having surrogates, which we'll also get to, is completely legal in New York. And in the United States, surrogacy is completely illegal in India, heavily restricted. It's illegal in most of Europe. So egg freezing is for personal use only. And in Europe, it is highly dependent on your age. In India, it's not dependent on your age, but how long they store the eggs for can have certain timelines. So all of this is stuff that you have to research per clinic. You can definitely use ChatGPT for it. It will give you pretty good answers. And from there, you can just call the clinic, make an appointment, and have a conversation for them. Watching my students, what they've done, because so many students have told me over the years, yeah, like I've frozen my eggs, but they don't have a plan to go from like those frozen eggs to a family. And so that's what we're talking about in this video. Freezing your eggs is just step 1. And if you want more than 1 kid, you should aim to freeze a minimum of 15 eggs per kid. Again, this is a conversation to have based on your age and with each clinic. I'm giving some generic numbers based on a general search that I have done. But again, it 100% depends on your body and what age you are when you freeze the eggs. The second thing that you want to do based on what your birth chart tells you is decide when you're going to have those kids. So if, for example, you freeze your eggs at age 30 and your birth chart says you're going to have your first kid at age 35, and you're planning to actively be dating between the ages of 30 and 33 to find and get commitment from the right guy so that you can have the first kid by age 35, then you probably won't need to rely on surrogacy or any alternative treatment. You can probably just have a natural pregnancy. Very reasonable, very safe, high chances of a successful, healthy pregnancy at age 35. But if you're freezing your eggs at age 35 and you want to have a child at age 45, then you might want to explore something like surrogacy. So we've talked about freezing your eggs, which is kind of like insurance. There is no guarantee that an egg is going to turn into a baby. Unfortunately, modern medicine has not evolved that far yet. And so we want to talk about phase 2. How do you convert an egg from an egg to a baby? So there are a couple of options here. One, you meet the right guy, you defrost some of your eggs, and you fertilize the eggs with his sperm. So you go with the guy to the clinic. You can do this before marriage, you can do this after marriage. You just need a signed contract to say who the fertilized embryos belong to. The clinic will do this. Again, it depends where you live, what country you live in. All of this is by country, and in the US it is by state, and I think in New York City it might even be by the city. So speak to your clinic, check your local laws, but they will tell you, and you will sign a contract saying who those embryos will belong to. So create embryos, because embryos have a much higher chance of becoming babies once they are frozen. So you'll defrost a few of those eggs, fertilize them, and then make embryos with the man who you intend to have kids with. And these embryos will then again be frozen. They can either be used by a surrogate or by you yourself. We'll get to that in a second. So second step, make embryos. So this is assuming that you are, whether you're going to have a natural birth, you're going to give birth to the kid, or someone else is going to give birth for you, fertilize the embryos. All of this is a backup plan, but it's a plan versus the way my grandmothers had kids. They just popped them out. But again, no financial stress, no income pressure, no paying their own taxes. I don't even think they reported their own taxes back in the day. They were not like constantly traveling on transatlantic flights. They were not responsible for feeding anyone besides their children. So much simpler times. We high achieving women need a very different plan. So your birth chart will tell you how many kids are in your future, and based on that you plan backward. So if you have your eggs frozen, you meet the guy, then you fertilize some of the embryos and you refreeze the embryos. Then we come to phase 3. How are you actually going to ensure a safe and secure birth for your children and have healthy kids? So what most women do is they'll have a scan of the baby. This is done around month 3.5 to 4 of a pregnancy. So this is why many people wait to announce a pregnancy once they're 3 to 4 months in, is because the scan will tell you whether the child is likely to be born completely healthy or have complications, aka they will be, in India we grew up calling this special, some kind of issue which could result in a child having retarded mental development, cerebral palsy. I don't know all of the terms, but we use this word special as a bucket term to describe any issue that could impact a child before birth that would impact the child's life after birth. I'm not entirely sure if autism is covered, but you can find out a lot of information about the baby before they're born. And what happens, especially in European countries where healthcare is either affordable or free, is that many people will just abort a kid before they're born if there's a high likelihood of birth complications. And the same can often be true in India, just because abortion is completely legal and completely safe. It is definitely not true in the United States, where abortion is like a very complex political issue. And if you don't live in a country where abortion is legal, like the doctors will manipulate you into having the kid and like might not even give you the scan. So again, all of this depends on where you live, which is why it's very important to live in a place where all of these things are legal and safe and women have these rights. So you're trying to decide, okay, how do I ensure a safe birth for my baby and like the highest possibility of a healthy child? If you have frozen embryos, then the clinic will already have done a scan of the embryos to find out if the embryo is healthy. But again, from embryo fertilization to 4 months, many things can happen. And so you want to make sure that you are in conversation with that clinic to like find out what's going to happen. There are 2 ways that a baby can be born. I mean, all babies are born like via a woman, but that I'm aware of. I don't know very much about test tube babies. We're not going to cover them in this video. But it's either you are going to give birth or a surrogate. So as I've mentioned, surrogacy is completely illegal most places in the world. But if you are having what is called in medical terms a geriatric pregnancy after the age of 35 and definitely after the age of 40, it's strongly recommended to consider surrogacy. Even if you live in a place like India, you can absolutely do surrogacy. You can do it in Georgia, which is close to India. Helicopter. Or you can do it in the United States. You can fly to the US, freeze your embryos, fly back, and then go again and do your surrogacy in the US. There are also a few other countries that are available, I believe Argentina and Canada. So there are options, but all of this requires planning. Now, surrogacy can be anywhere from, I think it starts at like $30,000 to $50,000 in Georgia, all the way up to $150,000 per kid in the United States. Very normal pricing, will depend on clinic, will depend on the level of care you're opting for, and what kind of package you go for. All of this is standardized, it is extremely safe, it is extremely legal, but you need to do your own due diligence with the clinic and the women that they work with. So it is a financial transaction, but it's very safe, and the baby will usually take your citizenship. I think in the US there might be a loophole where the baby will get US citizenship if they're born in the US by default, but otherwise the baby will take your citizenship and whatever name you choose, maybe if that's the father's name or your name. So surrogacy is a great option. It's a very safe option, but like almost zero of my students plan for it. They just think, oh, I'm 42. I don't have frozen eggs. I'm going to give birth. It's like, that's highly unlikely. Please plan for surrogacy. Please freeze your eggs ASAP. So go to the start of the video and follow those instructions. But you can either do surrogacy as Priyanka Chopra Jonas did, and there's another celebrity I just read about, I think Tina Turner. She had 2 kids via surrogacy. Very good option for ensuring a healthy pregnancy, or you use your embryos to have your own pregnancy. It's a high risk just because in our modern lives where we have so much stress, even if you're young, like I've had friends who lost the kid in month 7 and 8 just because they had incredibly stressful lives, and so nobody is blaming them for the miscarriage. I'm just saying that miscarriage is a very common thing that women just don't talk about. It happens to 1 out of 3 women. It's extremely common, and when you have a limited supply of frozen eggs or frozen embryos, you want to make a judicious decision on how you use those frozen eggs and embryos. So I would strongly encourage you to consider surrogacy and find a method to afford surrogacy and pay for surrogacy, and start saving now for that if you're looking at having a pregnancy in your late 30s or mid 40s, like so many of my students are. And finally, like, how do you plan for who's going to raise a child? This is something you need to decide right now. You're either going to stop working and be a stay-at-home mom, or your husband is going to be a stay-at-home father, or like maybe at best you'll work part-time, but like every child needs a primary caregiver. So before you meet the guy, you have to decide what kind of role you want to play. A lot of my students live in fantasy land where they're like, I'm just going to meet the guy and he's just going to pay for everything and I'm going to stay home with the kids. Childcare is mind-numbingly boring. Most people hate it, including mothers who are obsessed with their kids. It's mind-numbingly boring. So you really want to be sure that that's what you want to do. And you still need support, because children are like a job for more than one person. It drives you mad. So that is something you want to decide right now. And if you really genuinely plan to stay at home with your kids, you scale back your career now. Not later, not after you meet the guy, now. Because men will smell it on you. If they meet you and you're like, oh, I want an equal partner. Oh, I want a man who's going to look after the kids. The guy's going to be like, not the woman for me. Like, I have a career. I have to prepare for meetings. I have to work many evenings and weekends. And if she expects that I'm going to come home from work and change diapers, she is not the woman for me. So make that decision right now. My time's almost up, so I'm going to wrap up this video. I hope it's been helpful for you. Start and end with the birth chart prompt. It's going to tell you exactly how many kids you're going to have and when, so that you can make a concrete plan for having those children. Do not sleep on this. Most of my students are in fantasy land about when and how they're going to have kids. They think children just appear on the planet like the rain. Hello, in many countries it doesn't rain because of pollution, because of changing weather patterns, and children are the same. Nobody can guarantee when a kid is going to be born. Even if your birth chart says it, if you have insane stress or you have 0 frozen eggs and you don't rest and you don't exercise and you're drinking a bottle of wine every night, like, we don't know how that's going to impact your fertility. So sit down now, make a clear plan, book an appointment at a fertility clinic. They exist all over the world, even in very small towns, and take this into your own hands, irrespective of whether you've met the right guy or not. Your future self will thank you 1,000 times over, and your future children will make it so worth it, even if it feels absolutely terrifying today. I know you can do this. Start with the birth chart prompt. It's going to give